Whoa. So what was that all about? Well, I'll get to that further, and I do assure you it'll have something to do with trees and tree care. As you know, I like to tell stories about trees so you can better understand what's going on. So today, let's go for a walk in the woods. This is an interesting Douglas fir. It's got a split top, and as you can see, there is a weakness there. So in a good windstorm, that will very likely split off. Now, where I'm at is a park called Castle Rock. And if you've never been to Castle Rock in the Santa Cruz Mountains, it's a very, very interesting place. Now, look at that. That Douglas fir is growing out of solid stone with a little bit of debris in the cracks. Now, here's an interesting piece of wood. When I was young, I used to climb up here all the time, and that is all that remains of a tree that grew all the way up to the top. And I remember jumping out into that tree and climbing down. This is sad. This was one of my favorite trees. This thing was absolutely beautiful, so unique, so much character. Look at all those weird growths. That's a Douglas fir and it's dead. Sadly, it completely is self-destructing, but it wasn't that long ago, about a decade ago, that it was still alive. Now it's just crumbling, which kind of leads me to, is it best to cut a tree down or just let it dissolve? Well, sometimes it's best to just let them self-destruct and find their way back down into an even area, because cutting it down could mean causing more damage to other trees. So I was up here with my daughter Callie, and there's a lot of really beautiful stuff that I'll talk about a little bit later. This is an interesting situation. This is a Douglas fir, and something happened to this tree a long, long time ago. Why is it bent? Well, I'm guessing that something fell on it and it grew that way. Here's another tree that's growing out of the solid rock. It's an oak tree, and I'm always surprised how trees will survive in really precarious, unusual locations. Now, I want you to look at this closely. This is really cool. Look at these old stumps that were cut down. They're still alive. They are growing up and completely encapsulating the wound. However, this one, also a Douglas fir, is not. But look at the association of the tree next to it, which is not a Douglas fir. And this one, which is alive, has a parent tree that is root grafted to it. That's what's keeping them alive. There's another interesting little situation here. We've got a Douglas fir and an oak, and the oak is kind of crumbling, but it's been leaning on the fir for such a long time that the two of them are damaging each other. Now, I'm really saddened when I go up to this park because a few years ago we had a significant snowstorm that dropped 24 inches of snow in 12 hours, and so many trees went down. It's almost like like a volcanic eruption of trees went down in this area. And underneath all that is a beautiful little creek. And when it's running, it used to be so gorgeous. Now it's just a complete and total filled mess of biodegradable matter that we will not see biodegrade in our lifetime. So maybe my grandchildren will go up here and see this place beautiful again someday. It's kind of sad. I don't like seeing this at all. So here's where I get to the rock climbing part of how it relates to tree work. Now, this is my daughter Callie, and I took her bouldering up at Castle Rock. I was showing her a lot of the climbs that I used to do when I was young. And I think that this type of workout teaches you so much about how to evaluate and analyze and see clearly. I mean, these little boulder problems here, most of them can only be done one or two ways. And if you get your sequence off, you just can't do it. So I'm showing her some different routes, different little things up here, and she's trying to figure it out. She's getting some of them and failing on others, but she's getting it.
The thing, I don't want to go for it, and I don't want to try it in case I fall.
Yeah. Now, bouldering is a sport in its own right, and a lot of people use these things called crash pads. Here's a good example. I've ever seen.
Little chalk bucket.
Chalk bucket. So I met this guy named Joe, and he's a really nice guy. I enjoyed talking to him. He's a very talented climber, and I want to talk a bit about how he uses these crash pads to protect himself. Now, in tree work, we use ropes, and we have a lot of devices and a lot of gear that we use, but we also have to depend upon our partners, whether it be for roping or managing the rope on the ground or looking out for problems. There is a direct association, just like in rock climbing, with working with a team or a partner. Now, a lot of you guys know that my partner in tree work is Jorge. He's been working with me for going on 29 years now, and we know each other really well. In rock climbing, you choose a partner to belay you when you're roped in. But in this case, because this guy is doing what's called bouldering, he's setting up his own little protection. But there was some spots here where we sort of stepped in and spotted him. There was another couple that was climbing. My daughter and myself were there, and we were all watching Joe try to figure out this route. So the more he tries to figure out the route, the closer he gets to getting the whole thing accomplished. Now, I talked with him about this before he started, and he has actually done this route before, but it's been about 2 years, and he forgot the actual sequence, the moves. That's a very slopey edge up there. There's my daughter. We're all watching, and it was very enjoyable because we were talking about it, talking about the moves and the placement, and it was sort of a group effort of trying to see this set of sequences in order to make this little boulder problem actually work. So aside from working with a partner and learning to trust each other, why do I see rock climbing as so helpful in learning tree work? Well, think about it. When you get into any situation, you've got to see the moves that you're going to make, which branches you're going to take off, why you're going to take them off, what is your justification, and if you take a branch off too soon, you may need it to help you to reach another part of the tree. So there is a lot of thought processes that go into evaluating what you're doing. Just like rock climbing, he's got to see every little step that he wants to make. And I know I'm going over and over and over this because persistence and continued efforts are what helps this guy get closer and closer to doing it right. It's all about practice. Tree work is the same way. You know, the more you do it, the better you get. The more you see, the more you recognize, the sequences of things that you've done in the past will relate to other trees with similar situations. There's another aspect of bouldering that is very helpful for tree work, and that's the strength training. It's the full body workout. It's the arms, it's the upper arms, it's the legs, but it's also the balance and being in a position where you can move forward wherever you're at. A lot of times you'll be way out at the end of a branch, and certainly you use your ropes to help stabilize you. But rope walking, standing on branches, keeping your balance, all of these are acquired skills that can be improved by doing an alternate sport like this. So if you've never done bouldering, I suggest you look into it. It's pretty fun. Here he's doing another side of it because he wanted to go up and take a closer look at what he's reaching for. So this is part of his inspection process. He wanted to see if there was any little nubs that he was missing. Now, a lot of you guys might think of this as being kind of boring. There he goes. He's doing it again. He's doing it again. Will he actually get it? It's more than just will he do it or not. It's all the different steps that he's doing and the changes that he's doing that allows him to get closer and closer. He decided to go up and take one additional look at the top. I think he was showing the other guys that were there how that route goes. There's a situation of the crash pads. That's two people's collection of crash pads. But there was so many other alternate rocks and areas where you could crack your head that we we stepped in eventually here and started watching him closely. There's a couple of the other guys. I'm going to show you a little bit more about some of us working other little aspects of this climbing area. This rock has hundreds and hundreds of small little bouldering problems. Some of them are traverses. Some of them are, different ways of getting around on the rock. And it's learning all the movement and the finesse and the balance and the ways of setting yourself up. He's doing this fairly similar every time, but he knows he's doing something that's not quite right. Something's just not clicking. So we're all talking about it.
It keeps me from going higher.
Now, I met this guy here as well, and he's a very skilled climber. This is the first time he's ever even attempted this, so he doesn't have a clue to what the proper sequence of moves are other than what he was watching Joe do. So he's doing the best he can to try to emulate Joe's movements on this rock so he could figure this out. Now remember, there's only one way that's going to make this really work and work consistently. A lot of you people have seen the program. There was a movie called Free Solo. Alex Honnold did the El Capitan Free and did it without ropes. And I want you to recognize that what these guys are doing here is doing a problem over and over and over again until they can sequence every single bit of it. Now, Alex went up on El Cap and he did every single sequence with a rope over and over and over again until he had that route wired. In his mind, he knew every single move. He knew every single nub, every single little spot. And when he had it wired to a point where he was so completely and totally confident, not only his strength and his abilities, but the route, everything about the route, he could do it. And it's not about one guy being just so superhuman strong that he's able to do it. It's about understanding. And Alex Honnold completely understood every step of the way. That's kind of what bouldering is about. You figure out all these little different moves and how they relate to different climbs and different things that you're going to get into. So yes, it's a workout. Yes, it's a skill test, and it's a training exercise for getting into roped climbing, but it's also a sport in its own right. So if you watch this far, you're probably asking yourself, will Joe get it? Will he figure this out? Well, one thing I can tell you is, yes, he'll figure it out. When he does figure it out, those moves are going to be permanently re-ingrained into his ability to do that climb. And the next time he comes out here, it will be very straightforward. And he'll just pull it off. He'll just do it the first time and he'll get it. And every time he goes back, as long as he's consistent with doing it so that he remembers the sequence, he's going to come out there, set it up, and boom, he'll get it done. But today, let's check it out. Let's watch it. This is a pretty hard climb, I tell you.
No, just like more than trying. Because the slopers, you have to land.
Now, there's another aspect that I haven't talked about, and that is the complete and total concentration in what you're doing. You don't get sidetracked. You're not thinking about anything else. So it's a very I hate to say relaxing, but it is. It's a very relaxing sport because it clears your mind of all the other stuff, and all you're doing is focusing. So it teaches you to find focus on the task at hand. And this guy, he is so hyper-focused on what he's doing. There was times that I was talking to him and asking him questions, and I might as well have been talking to a wall. He didn't hear a word I said because he was so in tuned to what he was doing. And he gets closer and closer. Look at, he's almost got that edge. Oh, shoot. Doggone it.
Oh man.
I touched it.
You touched it. You were, yeah.
You were there.
You got it?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then, yeah, bring your left on that. Yeah. Get your toe on that.
Good try.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Come on.
Yeah, you could get your right foot over now, I bet. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it worked.
That's really
Okay.
cool.
Same moves.
Yeah, we're trying to get our nephew into climbing.
Yeah.
Really good go.
Try harder.
He's psyched.
Nice. There you go.
Oh,
Man, you're so close. Oh, man.
Further right.
Yeah. There you go.
Around the corner, yeah.
so I'm going to give you a little different perspective. This shows the angle and the overhang of this rock, and just every aspect of it you're holding on, and the overhang really makes it harder, but really the balance aspect of this is all about clinging, and that heel hook right there is really important. But is it the right spot? Is it the right place to put your heel? Everything that he's working on, everything he's thinking about has got to be calculated just right.
Come on.
You got it.
Now, this sport means a lot to me personally because I was a rock climber a long time before I was a tree worker. I started climbing when I was about 15 years old, and actually I moved to Yosemite in 1972 and lived in a tent for a year and was climbing almost every single day out there. But it was the love of working outdoors and the feeling that I got from utilizing my body, the skills, the climbing, everything that I was doing. Oh,
Oh.
you okay, Callie?
No, I'm good. Yeah.
Did
Okay.
I hit you? Are you okay?
No, you're good.
I didn't expect you to come off quite so hard.
I was going for it.
So tree work became my passion